Think about this for a moment. A man who seemed completely normal, maybe even charming. John Wayne Gacy was that man. He was active in his community, shaking hands with politicians, running a successful business, and even entertaining children as a friendly clown at local events. On the surface, he looked like the perfect citizen. He had a house, a family, and a reputation as a hardworking, respectable man. But behind that mask, something unimaginable was happening. Hidden in plain sight, John Wayne Gacy was leading a double life. As one of America's most notorious serial killers today, we're going to dive deep into his story. We're going to look at how he built that facade, what drove him to commit such horrific acts, and how so many opportunities to stop him were missed. Gacy's story begins with a troubled childhood. His father was an alcoholic who constantly belittled him, calling him dumb and worthless. As a child, he was beaten for being curious, punished for exploring things that normal kids explore, and even experienced sexual abuse from a family friend, which he kept secret out of fear of his father. His mother tried to protect him, but in doing so, he was labeled a mama's boy and teased for it. This created a toxic environment full of humiliation, fear, and confusion. Physically, Gacy had vulnerabilities too. He was overweight, had a heart condition, and suffered blackouts between the ages of 14 and 18. He missed school often due to hospital stays, and his father accused him of faking it. Even early work experiences, like a summer job at a mortuary, exposed him to strange and disturbing situations that might have affected his view of death and life. By his late teens, warning signs were already visible. In 1967, Gacy assaulted a 15-year-old boy named Donald Voorhees Jr. He was convicted of sodomy the following year. During psychiatric evaluation, he was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, a condition characterized by a lack of empathy, manipulativeness, and disregard for the rights of others. Despite this clear warning, he received a 10-year sentence but served only 18 months before being paroled in 1970. Even in prison, he presented himself as a model inmate, showing early signs of the manipulative charm that would let him deceive so many people later. Once back in Chicago, Gacy's disturbing behavior continued almost immediately. In 1971, he faced 2 more accusations of sexual assault, but both were dropped, one because the complainant didn't show up, and the other involved claims of blackmail. Neither of these cases was reported to the Iowa Parole Board, representing a major gap in communication that allowed warning signs to go unnoticed. Over the next few years, Gacy's manipulative behavior escalated. In March 1977, Jeff Rignell was abducted, drugged with chloroform, handcuffed, and assaulted. Gacy had lured him with marijuana first. Rignell later wrote a book about the experience called 29 Below. Despite the seriousness of the assault, Gacy received only a misdemeanor battery charge, highlighting how the legal system underestimated his danger. Later that year, in December 1977, Gacy was involved in another case, the kidnapping and sexual assault of a 19-year-old at gunpoint. Gacy admitted to the act, but claimed it was consensual. The prosecutor declined to press charges because there were no witnesses. Looking back, this pattern is chilling. Each time, there was a chance to intervene, but each time, he remained free to continue harming others. The warning signs were there, but they were ignored or dismissed. Then came December 1978, when things started to unravel. Robert Peast, a 15-year-old boy, disappeared after being seen talking to Gacy at a pharmacy where Peast worked. Investigators began piecing together clues. Gacy's car had been towed miles away from where he later claimed to have dumped the body. The tow truck records didn't match his story, suggesting he was panicking and becoming sloppy. Later, he went to the police station, mud on his clothes, asking to see Detective Kosenczak. He claimed he would return but never did, and instead moved Peast's body to a river. The police searched Gacy's house on December 14th, but initially found nothing directly linking him to Peast. Still, subtle evidence began pointing to him. High school rings from missing individuals, reports from former employees that some co-workers had vanished. On December 19th, the surveillance team noted an unmistakable odor of death in Gacy's home, confirming suspicions that something horrifying was happening inside. Despite legal limits, these small clues built a picture of the nightmare within. Gacy was finally arrested on December 21st after handing marijuana to a gas station clerk while under surveillance. Once in custody, he made a shocking confession to his lawyer. He admitted to possibly 30 murders. He revealed bodies buried on his property, 29 in total, and others in nearby rivers. His confessions revealed that his victims were often young men he had lured, assaulted, and then killed. Even more chilling, he sometimes spoke of himself in third person, a psychological tactic used by some violent offenders to distance themselves from the horror of their actions. The scale of his crimes was almost unimaginable. Between December 23rd and 28th, investigators recovered bodies from his home, finding evidence of strangulation, gagging, and other brutal details. Identification of victims was slow due to missing records, and families reluctant to come forward because of societal prejudices. Gacy was indicted for 33 murders, the largest number recorded for one person at that time. He pleaded not guilty and then not guilty by reason of insanity, but was convicted on March 12, 1980. The very next day, he was sentenced to death. His house was demolished in April 1979 to remove the physical reminder of his crimes, but the work to identify his victims continued for decades. DNA testing later identified William George Bundy in 2011 and Francis Wayne Alexander in 2021. Today, 5 victims remain unidentified, leaving families without full closure, a haunting reminder of the scale of his crimes. The Gacy case had far-reaching impacts. It led to changes in law enforcement practices, including the Missing Child Recovery Act of 1984, which removed the mandatory waiting period for reporting missing children, a step toward the Amber Alert system. Gacy's life forces us to ask tough questions. How could someone so dangerous hide in plain sight for so long? How many red flags need to be ignored before action is taken? His story reminds us that evil doesn't always look like a monster. It can be charming, polite, and ordinary. And it shows the importance of systems that communicate, take warning signs seriously, and never underestimate threats, no matter how well they're disguised. Survivors, families, and investigators remind us that despite the horror, there is hope. Vigilance, courage, and action can make a difference. And even decades later, the lessons from Gacy's crimes remain relevant. Comment below and share your thoughts. It's stories like these that remind us to look closer, question what seems normal, and never ignore warning signs. If this story shocked and fascinated you, subscribe for more deep dives into real-life cases, uncovering the dark truths hidden behind ordinary faces.